I was thinking about the idea of suffering, I guess, in a sense, and the idea that there will always be suffering. It cannot be stopped, I don't think, as I work it over in my mind. It is a concept I struggle with even now. But I wonder what it is that we as humans were working so hard for. What were we trying to achieve? And to the extent that we climbed all over each other for it, to the extent that the goal was worth beating someone else to it, was worth taking something away from someone else, was worth the redistribution of goods and having them amass in a certain sector. This idea of in our free market and with our market economics, that we are working so hard to amass wealth for ourselves and to protect what is ours and to build wealth and all of these things. And I just always wondered why. What is the point? If people talk about the idea of progress, and there's an underlying notion, or it felt to me that there was always an underlying notion, that we are working so hard, and it is important to work so hard, and it is important to have the industry that we have pushing forward because it leads to progress. Progress in medical advances, progress in household appliances, progress in improving our daily living, progress in terms of ease of transportation. All of these things we are working towards, we are building as industry. We're trying to make progress, is this sense that I felt. And progress, though, will not ease suffering, I don't think. Suffering is the idea of when you compare two things, because again, nothing is anything but by comparison. When you compare two things, one is viewed as better than the other. And when you do not have the thing that is viewed as better, that sort of, in my mind, is the underpinning of the idea of suffering. So, for instance, if I am physically injured and I cannot move my leg because it is sore, it hurts, or whatever the situation may be, I am suffering to the extent that I wish that I could move my leg, or to the extent that I'm comparing my immobile and perhaps pain-inducing leg to one that is not. But there will always be comparisons to be made. And what will happen as we progress is that our idea of suffering and our tolerance for suffering will change, but it will always be there. And so, for me, that begs the question of why are we pushing so hard for progress? Why, at least to the point of not benefiting our fellow human beings, or looking out for our fellow human beings? Because I certainly felt throughout my life that as a culture and as a society, we weren't. And the fault is also mine in that regard, because I wasn't, at least not enough. And I've talked about this before. But all progress will lead to is a new bar, and the idea that I shouldn't have to feel X because in comparison other people are not having it. To take a rather mundane example, but one could view it as suffering if they do not have a mobile device, because everyone else has a mobile device, and so they are suffering. That, in my mind, seems a little bit, well, is that the point is that a level of, I guess what I'm saying is, the point is that that becomes viewed as suffering, or could become viewed as suffering, by comparison to others of not having this certain thing. And if you categorize suffering in certain regards, which should be parsed out, they're suffering in terms of physicality, of not being physically well. And then they're suffering in terms of not having the thing that you want, whether it's a person, a relationship, a lover that, or love that was not returned. I'm unraveling here in my mind as I think about these concepts. I think the bottom line is, I've always wondered, what are we working so hard towards? And is progress the goal that we should be trying to achieve, as compared to simply the betterment of our fellow humans, in a sense of bringing people to a level playing field in terms of their accessibility to healthcare and the basic needs, instead of focusing on this idea of progress for progress's sake, because progress itself is good. Because progress itself won't fix anything. Boy, this is a lot that I haven't unpacked in my mind, so you're going to have to wrestle with this yourself for now, as I mull it over some more. I've rambled too long today. I hope you have a wonderful day. I love you. Oh, and yes, I have forgotten to do the repetition that I had espoused. Please do check out Winnie the Pooh and the House at Pooh Corner and the work of Clarice Jensen.